What's up, guys? Welcome back to the show where we talk about games. So the new major update for Hades just came out, and the next one's about a month away, so we thought this would be a perfect time to talk about it and give everyone an idea of whether it's worth buying now or not. This will be pretty much just like a mini episode of what we do normally. We'll talk about each part of the game and then rank them from the worst to the best. Alright, let's do this. The gameplay. Roguelites like Hades are basically an addiction to me at this point. Being able to pick up and put down games in short bursts is exactly the kind of thing that my zero attention span brain has been conditioned to enjoy over the past decade or so. I can't even eat anymore without compulsively flipping on my phone and TV and computer and Tamagotchi. That's the thing though, every minute of Hades promises something a little bit different, and every new room that you go into has randomized items and enemies and Greek god-gifted boons that you can collect, and every hit that you do and don't take is important, so you're constantly engaged in what's going on. You can pick it up and put it down in tiny chunks of playing time too, even saving in the middle of runs, which I don't think is normal in this genre of game. And these runs don't really even take that long to begin with. They don't really have to set aside too much time to get that aesthetically sublime supergiant fix. So what makes Hades different from other roguelites though? Why would you get this one instead of any number of the other ones? Well, for one thing, none of my runs feel truly chaotic or irreplicable, which might seem a little more boring than the insane builds or equipment sets that you can pile up in some other similar games, but I actually think I prefer it in a lot of ways because it feels like every run that I go on is a winnable effort for me. All four of the weapons that you can pick from and all of the skill upgrades play pretty differently and are really well balanced, so there's rarely been a run that I thought wasn't fun. It's important to note that there's a lot more content promised to come in the future, like more weapons and levels and enemy types and stuff, but for now there really isn't a ton of game to play. Only 2 levels that I cleared on around my 30th try, which for a game like this isn't a ton. But these are the kinds of games that you don't just beat once, you keep playing until you can beat it consistently, and that'll take a lot of time and practice. The visuals. So what does the game look like? Oh my, just look at it. What an attractive game. Way out of my league. Totally destroys my realistic expectations for what indie games actually look like, or any game for that matter. I mean, what can you even say about Gen Z at this point?
I'm undefeated, never lost.
Her style is synonymous with Supergiant, and Supergiant's synonymous with the tastiest of video games. They're good, they're great, and this one's no exception. The world in Hades is vibrant and lived in. You just get the sense that thousands of years have been spent by its keepers and denizens, who've all found their own little corner of it to dwell in and make their own. All the little design motifs and details bring it to life, and the color palette, I mean, come on, it's so nice. The character portraits in particular are works of art second to none in the gaming industry, maybe only approached by some of Shigenori Soejima's work on the Shin Megami Tensei games, at least in terms of being recognizable at least, but nothing, in my opinion, really comes close to the beauty and quality of Gen's stuff. But yeah, there's just something so magical and unknowable about how everything is designed in Hades. It's all familiar, but I can't quite relate to the statuesque beauty that's chiseled out onto the screen. I kinda like too how you can't really assign a race to any of the characters in this game. They all look ambiguous and inhuman. Yeah, this is Greek mythology, but these aren't Grecians. They're gods. And their design perfectly matches their divinity. And every boon that these gods deign to bestow down upon us manifests itself in cool attack animations too, all color coordinated and explosive and stuff. It really is just a great looking game, completely unique. You know, I've never really felt like visiting hell, to be honest, but now Hades exists and, well, here we are. The story. Since Hades is still in early access, I can't be certain of all the twists and turns that I suspect the story is going to make. I mean, we're talking about Greek gods. You know they're all gonna get up to some downright nonsense as stuff progresses. But what's there so far is deliciously tantalizing, if I do say so myself. And not in the usual rapey, sexually deviant kind of way that you usually get in Greek mythology. You play as Zagreus, Prince of the Underworld, and it's your goal to escape from hell and make it up to the surface where, Zagreus presumes, life is better. There's some tension between kind of the two factions of the gods, those who make their home in the underworld and the others who live up on Mount Olympus, who entice the prince to come up and hang out with them instead. The main driving force, though, seems to be a little more personal and familial for Zagreus, who hopes to reunite with long-lost loved ones. No spoilers, of course, but I'm feeling that there's gonna be an emotional meeting at long last that might go awry in some way. Probably get pretty violent. Maybe you end up fighting this person that you've been looking for so long? No idea, just speculation. But the foundation of the story alone is interesting enough to make each run feel important and meaningful. So dying and retrying is given this cool continuity within the narrative, if that makes dying feel any better. And little chunks of the story are given through pieces of dialogue each time you go back to the beginning, so dying is kinda even nice sometimes when you know someone will have something new to say, or maybe you'll even be able to meet some new people that give a little more meat to the story. The characters. You know, the last thing I've grown to expect from roguelites is for the cast of characters to play a significant role in how much I enjoy the game. But Hades kinda changed to that for me. There's something really fun about seeing gods kinda just hanging around and having normal relationships and super different personalities that mesh well or clash up against each other. Zagreus, the guy that we get to play as, is like a teenager going through a rebellious phase, trying to run away from home, while the gods up on Mount Olympus are cheering for him to finally escape and facilitating his escape by coming down and visiting him and granting their respective divine powers as boons that make him stronger. The interactions between them all are just fun to listen to, and the relationships all feel dynamic and like they have a real history together. I mean, maybe it's cheating a little to use a pre-existing mythology to create a cast of pre-fleshed out characters, but this is a look at Greek mythology that I haven't really seen done in such a fun and funny way. Like, I love how Nyx, the goddess of the night, someone you kind of typically think as being kind of bad and someone you'd want to avoid, actually serves as a loving, motherly figure for Zagreus. Or how Poseidon is the fun, indulgent uncle type that feels like he probably let Zagreus stay up late playing video games whenever he came over to visit. The characters aren't the main draw to this game, that would definitely be the gameplay, because that's predominantly what you're spending your time doing, but they add a layer of flavor that just makes it so much better. And the music. Darren Korb's music is what I have always gotten more and more excited for each time Supergiant puts out a new game. And I honestly think that the music's only gotten better with each new release, so I'm not gonna lie when I say that I haven't been quite as blown away with Hades' soundtrack. Just yet. I mean, there are for sure a couple of standout tracks already, and all the usual Darrenisms, I like to call them, are present and accounted for, with the dirty, fuzzy bass and percussion just pounding away. I mean, his rhythm sections always just bring the heat, don't they? I mean, dang. Of course, every song in the game is incredibly well performed, and the production is just glistening perfection, and years ahead of 99% of every other video game soundtrack happening today. But the thing is that, to me, it's pretty much never been the most interesting thing happening in the game. Well, except for maybe during this kind of mid-boss fight where the guitars kick into this wild, distorted, riff-heavy banger. I'm actually listening to the Pyre soundtrack right now while I'm writing this review to figure out why I feel differently about Hades, and I'm just struck by how different and varied the instrumentation and song structures and sounds are in Pyre compared to Hades, where the music keeps it more stylistically consistent and rhythmically steady. Listen, trust me when I say that all of this sounds like blasphemy even as it's coming out of my mouth. I've said in previous videos that Darren Korb is the best video game composer going right now, and I still believe that. And maybe other people see that it's a good thing that it's more stylistically consistent. But I like being caught off guard and surprised by where he's gonna go next. More songs are getting added to the track list with each update, it looks like, though, so maybe I'll come around to it. I do like it a lot, I just don't know how much I love it yet. But one thing's always going to be true about Supergiant games. Every time one of those famous Darren resolutions hits the old ear holes, Hades gets me right in the heart. Just listen to this. Oh, yeah, that'll do it. Okay, so let's get to the final rankings. This is subject to change as more of the game comes out, but whatever, here we go. This is how it stands for now. In last place is the story. The game never puts itself aside to emphasize any major story moments, but it's a fun idea and a good motivator for the main character, if not for us players. In fourth place is the music. What we have so far is good, and more is coming, but it's a little too content to be a background player, especially for a Darren Korb score. In third place is the gameplay. It's simple, but so many layers and strategies are going on. Obviously, this is what the game is all about, and they nailed it. It just needs a little bit more skill and weapon diversity, which will come with updates. In second place are the characters. They're just the most original and fun part of the game, but not really around enough to justify buying the game just for them. In first place are the visuals. Can't say it enough, the game is a work of art. I mean, just look at it.
Oh my gosh, just look at it.
The car is not perfect.
Just look at it.
And I love them. I also love Supergiant. I honestly think they're the best new developer of the past decade. If you've already played and know that you like the games they've already put out, the $20 price point is more than worth it, and I say get it. I honestly can see Hades shaping up to be their best all-around effort sometime in the future, and I don't say that lightly. The thing is, we don't know exactly what all it's gonna be when all is said and done, so if you're on the fence, just keep an eye on it until another update or two rolls around and we start seeing it take on a more complete form. So yeah, if you like their other games, Hades is more than worth it, even right now. If not, chill on it for a second. It's not going anywhere, baby. And that's the video. Thanks for watching. See ya.